20 years in prison for ending a life at 20 years old. That is the fate of former Radford University student Louisa Cutting.
She pleaded guilty just hours ago to stabbing her roommate Alexa Cannon multiple times and killing her back in January. 10 News reporter Jessica Jewell is live in Radford tonight with our top story.
Jessica, you were in the courtroom today when the judge accepted the plea deal. How did that go?
Cutting was sentenced to 40 years in prison, suspended after 20 years for murdering the person she called her roommate and her friend. It's the end to what the prosecution has called an extraordinarily unusual, tragic, and mysterious event.
How do you plead?
Guilty.
21-year-old Louisa Cutting now headed to prison for decades for stabbing and killing Alexa Cannon in January, a crime she's never denied and one she apologized for Monday in court.
There are no words for this tragedy, and my heart is filled with sorrow and grief. My heart goes out to the Cannon family. I am so sorry.
The Commonwealth's attorney says she admitted to taking a combination of alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, Adderall, Xanax, mushrooms, and cocaine the night before the murder. All this, combined with a lack of sleep and perhaps days, triggered a psychotic episode leading to what both the prosecution and defense blamed for the tragedy. The 20-year active sentence is still on the high end of what's recommended for second-degree murder. Now, Cannon's family was in court today. We're told they knew what was going to happen. Still, though, they left the courtroom in tears. Live in Radford, I'm Jessica Jewell, 10 News, working for you.
Breaking tonight, a family ripped apart. The community left heartbroken, and everyone left asking why.
In my wildest dreams, I never could imagine it.
Matthew Bernard is charged with murdering his mother, Joan, sister, Emily Bivens, and one-year-old nephew, Cullen.
We are working for you on every single angle on this story as police continue their investigation and discuss what went into his chaotic capture. We're also talking to family members and looking at the overwhelming support from the community.
A 19-year-old Matthew Bernard is charged with killing his mother, Joan Bernard, sister Emily Bivens, and sister's one-year-old boy Cullen yesterday morning. Bernard was eventually captured naked shortly after noon near his family's home where the murders happened. We still don't know why he murdered them, and neither does the sheriff's office. It's also unclear why he was naked. According to Pennsylvania County Sheriff Mike Taylor, Matthew Bernard beat his head against the inside of the patrol car after being arrested and had to be taken to Roanoke for treatment. He was taken back to the jail here in Pennsylvania County early this morning and is now on suicide watch.
Crews in our storm chaser vehicle have been following the very latest conditions throughout the region. And we'll start with 10 News reporter Rachel Lucas. She's live in Franklin County tonight in the Sontag area. Rachel, I've seen some of the stuff you've been posting on Facebook, some of your pictures. It looks pretty bad down there.
It is. Just the devastation that we have seen here today has just been truly just incredible and heartbreaking. And I'm going to give you a live look from our storm chaser from one of the homes that was just destroyed today.
So you still got your basement, but when this went, it was just suction.
And as you can see, there are just trees down everywhere. You can see a clear line of where the tornado came through today for several hundred yards past their home. We're driving by it now. As you can see, the trees that were knocked down, there's a complete line of devastation.
We continue following breaking news on 10 News this morning, where Roanoke police are actively investigating a situation near Patrick Henry High School this morning.
We're already seeing it's impacting local businesses. Scratch Biscuit Company will be closed temporarily this morning due to the incident.
10 News reporter Megan Woods is live on the scene. Megan, what can you tell us?
Well, like you said earlier, this is still very, very active. We are at Virginia Heights School, where law enforcement sent us after asking us to leave the neighborhood. And when we drove up to Patrick Henry School, they had the parking lot blocked off. And then when we drove a little further, we saw businesses there and what looked like a tactical team. So, you know, we're still looking for answers. And what we do know is that Roanoke City Schools is are closed.
Investigators say they don't know where he is, adding this is he's likely on the move and is not afraid to change his appearance. Now, 10 News reporter Arisha Jones kicks off our team coverage tonight. She's joining us now live from the Grandin Road Village area with more on what police are saying about this suspect. Arisha?
There's been 2 news conferences today involving multiple agencies, and what we did learn today that Brown's grandmother lives on Tillett Road. Today there were reports of sightings, but nothing confirmed. Authorities believe Brown is looking for alternative forms of transportation and may be armed with high-powered weapons.
And we have an individual who is wanted both locally and federally.
Of course, this manhunt started before sunrise this morning in a southwest Roanoke neighborhood. That's when authorities say Brown was tapping on his grandmother's window.
And that's where we find Lindsay Kennett live this evening. She's joining us now live from that neighborhood, and she's been talking with neighbors all evening. So, Lindsay, what did they have to say about all of this chaos?
They say they're still shaken up and feeling uneasy knowing that Brown is still on the loose. Police were stationed all over this neighborhood, especially here along Tillett Road. They were stopping cars, checking neighbors' homes and backyards. Just before noon, police blocked off Tillett Road and told neighbors to go in their homes and take shelter in their basements. Our crews were there as a helicopter started circling overhead and armored vehicles drove down Tillett, which is where neighbors say one of Brown's relatives lives. Other neighbors say they saw SWAT officers knock on someone's home. A woman answered. The officers reportedly searched inside, and when they got back out, that's when all the police left the area.
Good evening. A bombshell tonight in the case of the AWOL Marine accused of murder in Franklin County.
10 News has confirmed that Michael Brown was hiding in this completely dismantled RV the entire time authorities were searching for him.
Now, I spoke with Caldwell Bono today on the phone, and I asked her to confirm a tip, actually a couple of tips that we had received, and she said, quote, "I think you will find that to be true," when I asked her if he was in fact hiding in the RV. All of this again happening back on November 14th. Now, I wanted to show you something. This is the cell phone video that I shot the night that they towed the RV from St. Elizabeth's Episcopal Church, the parking lot there in the Grandin area. In fact, we had just finished broadcasting from the church along with all the other media, including the national media that night. That's how big this story is. And Brown was in that RV the whole time, even when they towed it right past me. But not only that, let's take a closer look here. As you can see in our video from the day of the actual search, police had completely dismantled this RV. They were pulling pieces from the RV. They were putting them in a dumpster. They told us at the time that they were looking for evidence. If you look, there is almost nothing left of the vehicle, so where was he? All we know from his attorney is that he, quote, was hiding behind a cabinet somewhere near the top.
The Daytona 500 is just weeks away, and what better way to start the 2019 season than with defending Cup Series champ Joey Logano.
Alyssa Ray joins us live from Charlotte now with some thoughts on the Hokies today and moving forward. Alyssa.
Well, we are in Charlotte, which means Virginia Tech was the clear fan favorite this afternoon, and they got the job done. They won and advanced to play Florida State tomorrow.
Back-to-back buckets put UVA up 1. Ty Jerome trying to contribute, connects with the step-back 3, but here we go. Florida State's David Nichols making 2 in a row, giving the Seminoles momentum.
Catching up with our teams in the NCAA tournament, sports director John Appicello is covering Virginia Tech and Liberty in San Jose, California. And Appy, we'll start with you. And since you're 3 hours behind us, the teams haven't even hit the court yet.
Well, that's exactly right, Alyssa. The day is just getting started for the East Region teams here in San Jose. Virginia's first national championship will no doubt be celebrated deep into the summer, but the ramifications for the Virginia basketball program will be much more profound. The redemption complete, the celebration sweet.
Briar Classic is underway this week at the Old White TPC course in White Sulphur Springs. This year, the tournament will start the PGA Tour.
Legendary Hall of Fame football coach Frank Beamer led his squad through the perfect season and into the national title game.
Yeah, and recently I got a chance to sit down with our living legend head coach, and we took a walk down memory lane.
You may or may not be able to go and play in the NFL.
It was headline news in 1950s Floyd County. More than a dozen African American students fighting for equal access to education in Southwest Virginia.
It is my thinking that there may materialize in the very near future suits in other counties in Southwest Virginia as well.
And then 17-year-old Daisy Jean Penn was right in the center of it all.
We went to school and had a school right here, almost walking distance, and couldn't go to.
Daisy was born and raised in Floyd.
I lived here in Floyd really all my life.
And after graduating from the African American elementary school, she and other black students had to make the trek to Christiansburg every day to attend the all-black Christiansburg Institute, initially founded in 1866 to educate former slaves.
Busing, like 44 miles per day to go to school.
It's been nearly 60 years since Daisy stepped out of her childhood home and into history, and she says she wouldn't change a thing.
If I had to do it again, it would be no problem.
And for her and plenty of other families in Floyd, it was an experience that reached beyond the headlines to pave the way for all students to share in the joys of learning. Brittany McGraw, 10 News, working for you.
You're just going to have to see which trees you can get over. If not, we'll have to cut them.
And thus it began. Men rolling the contraption down the slope, a makeshift memorial with an uncertain outcome. They've rolled that thing over some big trees, but this rock garden may be the biggest challenge yet.
We did lose a hold of the wheel at one time, and that got a little bit hairy.
I need somebody on this side. When we got to that big tree, there was no way we were going to roll that over the tree. So we, just figured we would just put a little physics into action and just slide it over the tree, and that seemed to work.
May God grant that I'll never see any other in your eyes and heart but me.
Since 1972, Martha has been the only woman in Ronald's heart.
I want to live the dreams that others can only fantasize about.
And for 47 years,
And I will try to be the best husband I can.
he's written her love letter after love letter to prove it.
I think I finally figured out the 16,227 as of this morning. Oh my goodness.
Martha's kept every single one.
Well, they're very, very special, and they bring back a lot of, good memories and, happy times and things that we did.
Most were handwritten.
My father used to sell typewriters. So I typed the first page or two here.
When he didn't have ink, he got creative.
And so I began to cut letters out of magazines.
But they never stopped. In these stacks at the Gravitz Buena Vista home sit nearly 2,000 love letters, all written while they were still dating.
Oh, I loved it. I loved going to my mailbox and having something there, and he made me feel very special.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever gone to your college mailbox and found it empty? She never did.
No.
This one's the first.
We had been to see You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown together.
Right, and so I wrote this thing, and it says, "Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have, I give unto thee."
A love so strong, he never stopped writing, not even on their wedding night.
And so on Hotel Roanoke stationery, the letter that was written for August the 2nd, our wedding day, began, and it hasn't stopped since.
Since that night, he's written one every single day for 39 years.
It sounds crazy, I guess, but that's what she asked for. and it seemed like something that I could do, and so I did.
I guess I'd just been spoiled by it. Didn't want it to end. I just wanted it to go on.
In 1972, stamps were only 8 cents. A lot's changed since then, but one thing remains the same.
It is quite a tradition.
Yeah.
And as I said, I just know it's always going to be there.
It's just
there is no lapse.
It's just a part of our lives. I don't know. I guess a lot of people have traditions. I don't know. They maybe have a cup of coffee together at the end of the meal or something like that, and maybe they just do that every day, and or a glass of wine or something. But we have a letter to share.